All right, hello and welcome everyone to another Will Pop vinyl video. It's a rare late night recording for me here Monday night. I'm going to talk a little bit more about my preparation for this upcoming Japan trip. So I think in the last video we went over a lot of the places I plan to visit, and now I want to talk a little bit about some of the records I've been looking into to target while I'm in Japan. And so now with the magic of OBS, we're going to reveal the Google Doc back here, which I've prepared with a bunch of links. And let me tab over to it. So, I think I mentioned the last time I went to Japan, I really did not know too much about how to shop for records. I was interested in buying, and I found some stuff that I lucked into, but I wasn't really pursuing much Japanese stuff. I was kind of just looking for, just nostalgic stuff that caught my eye. And so, with this trip on the horizon now, about 5 weeks away, I want to make sure that I take full advantage of this. And yeah, we're going to be going through mostly Japanese music, or music where the original pressings are from Japan. But there's going to be a lot of different stuff that I'm looking for. So I guess the first thing I have here is classic rock stuff. So like this is not a genre I'm huge on necessarily, like for myself, but as a family, it's nice to put this on, or when people are over. So looking for some Japanese pressings of, some like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, B-52s, Talking Heads, stuff like that. I have not gone through to actually check the pricing on any of this. And so I'm sure there are probably Pink Floyd and Beatles Japanese pressings that are extremely expensive, as those bands just tend to carry high price points with desirable pressings. These are not going to be high on my priority list, but if I come across stuff that looks interesting and seems like a fair price, I won't necessarily be opposed to picking it up, but it's not going to be my priority. I'm going to save most of my budget for everything else on this list. And there's going to be some things on this list that are probably not achievable at this point in my life, but just worth kind of knowing about and looking for, I guess, just to have on my radar. Yeah, the biggest question mark for me right now is like, what is the pricing going to be like when I'm over there? Because going off Discogs, I don't know if that's a good way to really guesstimate what it will be like in the stores. There's not that many sellers out of Japan that actually ship to the US where I am. The ones that do seem to have pricing generally in US dollars, not in yen. And it seems like on the expensive side. There are also some Japanese sellers that have a like domestic storefront in the US. So they, Face Records is one here in Brooklyn. They've got shops in Japan and Tokyo. And then there's another one whose name escapes me, but I'm sure we'll find it when I start investigating some of these Discogs links. That I'm guessing they ship either out of the East Coast or West Coast somewhere, and they have almost exclusively Japanese pressings. But again, also I assume more on the expensive side. So I'm hoping when I get over there on this trip, it'll be cheaper. But if you know, let me know what I can expect as far as budgeting. So I'm going to start here. So we did the classic rock. As for non-Japanese artists, there's a few that I'll be looking for while I'm over there. So there's one record that I've been looking for quite a while by a band called Elite Gymnastics. And this is kind of a blog house, or I should say not a blog house, but like a blog era darling. If you ever read Gorilla vs. Bear, or like maybe Pitchfork from a long time ago. So 2011. I thought this was actually a Canadian band because I remember them being associated with Grimes back before she became the current iteration of Grimes that she is now. Think back to the like pre-Oblivion era. This is just a really cool, I guess, kind of pop, but also like, as you can see here, they have it listed as like Left Field and Broken Beat. Just a really interesting record. And as I've been watching it over the years, it's been on my want list. It says for only 8 months, but that's not true. I think at one point I took it off. I've been looking for it for a while, and it always seems to be someone in Japan is selling it. Right now, there's actually one in Australia and one in Japan. I've just never seen one pop up domestically here, even though it says this is a US pressing. So while I'm over there, I'm gonna look for it. I don't think I'd be willing to spend $100 on it. I'm hoping I could find it cheaper. Then there's a couple Don Cherries that have original pressings in Japan. So there's this one, Blue Lake, which I think was recently just reissued, actually, or maybe it was a record store day. So again, Discogs here has it quite expensive. The lowest price is 207, and it just goes up from there. So yeah, I don't know again if I will be spending that much on this record per se, but I'll be looking there, and this just gives me an idea of like if this is what it's selling for on Discogs. If I get over there and then I factor in, the dollar to yen conversion, and I see this record for like $100, then I'm probably gonna pick it up. Same for Orient. Max Roach Nommo. This is one I got interested in, almost 2 years ago when I was starting to go more down the jazz rabbit hole and looking at what other people talked about. And this one just came up on someone's list, some recommendation somewhere as a good record to kind of start exploring jazz with. And yeah, I really liked it when I listened to it. It's not on like Apple or Spotify. You can listen to it on YouTube. Love this function here with Discogs, of course. And I'm going to be looking for it when I'm over there. This one, I also love the album art. The album art is really cool on this. So let's pop those over. There's 2 ambient records like that I already own, original pressings of Ambient 2 and The Pearl. And just based on what people say in the Discogs comments, I guess grain of salt, collectors really seem to prefer the Japanese pressings. And yeah, provided, let's see how much expensive this might be. So 40 to whatever. So, again, if I can find an affordable copy, I would definitely grab this, especially if I had a few other things from that store. I'd add to the pile. And lastly, for non-Japanese artists, any really expensive jazz records that I just know I'm never going to buy because I just don't love them enough, but I would still like to have them in a collection. So for example, here, like this Mao one, there's a 1966 Japanese pressing of this, which you can get, it seems, very affordably. So I would totally grab this if I saw it in a shop over there. And I think if we click here, so Mion is this is the US seller. So you can see like they have 61 records on my want list, and they have stations all over the place. They've got, Germany, UK. So they're just some distributor or seller or shop that just specializes in Japanese pressings all over the world. So those are the things that I'll be looking for from non-Japanese artists. But then as I've been exploring more Japanese music to really take advantage of the trip, first I was exploring this using Claude with mixed success. I would say it was good at identifying artists and labels to look for. It was not good at telling me if they actually had records pressed coming out of Japan. For the jazz, it was the best. For ambient, it was okay, but it very quickly skewed out of ambient into like more city pop and fusion, which is not what I wanted. So if you have any good ambient suggestions for me beyond what I have here, please throw them in the comments below. One of the obvious ones, Hiroshi Yoshimura. These seem to vary in price a lot. So like Green and Soundscape are probably unobtainable for me right now. Like Soundscape looks like would be extremely expensive and not worth it to me. That's not my favorite of these. My favorite is actually Music for 9 Postcards. I really, really like this one. And I think this one and Air are the cheapest. So yeah, I don't know if I would go the full, 300 on this, but again, factor in the currency. If I can find a deal on this, I'll definitely be grabbing it. Kind of adjacent to that, there's a project this is one that I found from Claude, which was awesome. Satoshi Ashikawa, Still Way. And this is also, the last I saw it was much more affordable than this. I don't know if the median changed or not, but it's definitely more affordable than say like Green from Hiroshi. But yeah, this is part of the same wave notation series as Music for 9 Postcards. So very similar musically. And you can see here, even the cover design was by Hiroshi Yoshimura. So this is one I'll be looking for as well. This Yama Land record, I need to listen to this again. A lot of these I need to listen to a few more times before the trip, because this, at the current price, like I can't think enough about what it sounds like to buy this on the spot. But I do remember listening once and liking it, and at least putting it here just for my own research. This one too I remember being really cool, but for whatever reason it's very expensive. I assume it was just a super short run record. Just good to know and be aware of, I guess, for myself. I don't think I'll be spending $500. Kokubu Takashi, Get at the Wave. This is a super cool one. This one kind of gets, yeah, it's got some field recordings and stuff in it. The only downside is that it's a picture disc. So yeah, I don't know. I don't actually own any picture discs. I've always heard they don't sound good. Maybe Japanese ones are the exceptions. And it seems like I can probably get this in a pretty affordable price over there. And another one that I just found out about more recently, Shiho Yabuki. So she has made a lot of music. Very little of it has crossed onto vinyl. The bulk of it's on like CD or cassette. And so I found this one. I don't think I actually found it through Claude because they just released a, let's see if they put it up here. I'll talk about this later in a recently acquired, or like here it is. Yep, they haven't updated this yet. So I don't remember the label, but someone just did a reissue of this Alpha Wave Music, I believe it's titled. And you can see it was only previously put out on CD in 1990. But yeah, they just did a first issuance of this on LP, on vinyl record. So I'll be looking for this over there, or not this one. I'll be looking for the other one. And most of these you can see are just CD only. So there's a lot of music that I found, especially on the electronic and ambient side, that just has not been put on vinyl yet. And lastly, this one I definitely have to listen to again because I can't remember at all what this one sounds like. Akira, Marine Flowers. But yeah, plenty of time. It's going to be a long flight, and I still have plenty of weeks to go through all this stuff again. The issue also with a lot of these is that they're just not on streaming. They're only on YouTube. So it just makes it that much harder for me to listen like while I'm driving. Jazz has been the most fruitful. There's some obviously heavy hitter stuff, like one that I was not familiar with at all. This Hosan Yamamoto with the sharp flats, beautiful bamboo flute. I've listened to this once through. I thought it was okay. It didn't really go crazy for me. It's super expensive, so I don't know if that's, again, just because it's really, really hard to find, or if it's, famous for being sampled a bunch of different ways. Like, it's definitely pleasant, but it doesn't really, send me to a $1,000 price point potentially. This is one that, like, shamefully, if I saw it somewhere for like $400, I'd probably buy it with the intent of just flipping it and trying to subsidize some of my other purchasing that way. Probably risky, but given the sales history, hopefully it wouldn't be a total blowout. Ryo Fukui. So yeah, last year I picked up Mellow Dream out of Face Records here in Brooklyn, and that one did not have an Obi. So if I do find one with the Obi strip, I might go for that. Scenery, would love to get this. Let's see if they still have it listed right now. Yeah, Face Records just came back from their March Japan trip, and they brought one of these over with the Obi, and they're trying to get $1,900 for it here. So yeah, I don't think this is one that I'll probably be coming back with unless I find a super beat copy. But yeah, crazy to see the price discrepancy between this and Mellow Dream. Another one that's probably too expensive, Animals Garden by Miyasaka Plus 5. I have to listen to this one again, and it is actually on Apple streaming, so I should definitely add this to my car playlist. But just seems like it's probably super rare and not too I probably shouldn't prioritize it based on the price point. So I think I mentioned before, like Three Blind Mice was a label that I had not heard of. I don't think I've ever seen any of these records anywhere in the US. I generally have not browsed, like I've only been to Face Records once to get that Ryo Fukui record. So I didn't really browse deep their jazz stuff to see if they had this. I wasn't even just aware of it, so I didn't know to look for it. But I've really enjoyed a lot of what I found off of that label, especially kind of like, I would say, the earlier side of the label. You can see most of them are under 70 in terms of like the, what do you call this? Yeah, just like the label numbering system. So some of these are more expensive, like this one, the Kusoke Mine, which I guess is like the first one that they released. This is just probably, from a collector standpoint, being the first one on the label, more desirable, probably more just probably lesser pressed. But a lot of this stuff is really good, and it gets down to a much cheaper price point really quickly. So in particular, I probably would say like Tsuyoshi Yamamoto Trio is like my highest target. And let's just go to one of these at random, like Midnight Sugar. Yeah, so you can see 73, 150, 300. So I'm kind of guessing that I might be able to find a solid copy of this in a store around 150 or less. I hope, once you factor in the conversion. That's my hope. And there's others that are even cheaper than that. This guy Masahiko Togashi also had quite a few that I was interested in. Some of his stuff leaned more towards the fusion side. Some of it gets a little bit free. He's got a collab with Don Cherry here that I think is pretty affordable. Let me just take a sip of water here before I cough. So I'll definitely be looking for this one. This one wasn't too wild as far as free jazz goes. And yeah, I'm not going to click through every single one of these, but you can see a lot of these Tsuyoshi Yamamotos. Like, I really, really like these a lot. Midnight Sun, this is a much later one. Is this a lot cheaper? No, it's not. I wonder I wonder why this one's, maybe it's just more desirable, but they all fluctuate. I'm really hoping a lot of these can be gotten for around 100 or less. As far as my budget goes, I've been like listing aggressively a lot of stuff on Discogs and making some sales. So I'm definitely trying to make space, both in terms of the bank account and in terms of the shelf over here, to accommodate whatever I might bring back. Just going a little further down, Yama and Jiro's Wave. So this is a Tsuyoshi Yamamoto collab here. Also like hopefully could be gotten around 100 domestically. And also quite liked the Asao Suzuki quartet trio. He's got a couple different permutations, and has also did this collab with Suneo Wada and Tsuyoshi Yamamoto. That's really cool. And I remember liking this one a lot. I'm not sure, given the high price, maybe this will be a little bit harder to get or find. I have no idea. I might come back with none of this stuff, which would be a little bit disappointing, but considering, I guess, the importance of this label over there, I'm assuming a lot of the jazz specific stores at least will have some of these. It's just a question of what the price will be. This one was really good. Also, this Suneo Wada Quartet. This one is more guitar driven, definitely more on the bluesy side, as the name might imply, but still, yeah, this one was a really, really fun listen. So would be really happy to bring this one back. And lastly, on the what I'm calling crossover, or I should say what Claude was calling crossover, which is, I guess, what you would kind of call the fusion or city pop, like with jazz. A lot of this stuff I did not like. So some of the ones that they recommended to me, like this Mariah record, Utakata no Hibe, did not like that. Shigeo Sakito's Special Sound Series, did not like that. Some other, VC people who talked about other Japanese jazz records. There's this one with the green caterpillar on the front that I guess is supposedly like a good gateway into Japanese jazz, but it's definitely more on the fusion funky side. I just don't like the way that sounds. So I didn't write it down here, but that's a skip for me. Pacific, I think this has got to be one of the most iconic just Japanese record covers that I see this all over the place. And so, yeah, it's got a lot of tags here. It's like a compilation, which is really interesting. At least that's what I'm guessing. Like, it doesn't really seem like there's a single artist attributed here, and every track has a lot of different people on it. But I would definitely grab this, and I would bet it's going to be kind of everywhere. Or I would hope so. I would not be surprised if I come back with this one, hopefully at a decent price. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is the other one that's like you just see this everywhere, and I like this one as far as city pop and kind of that fusion stuff goes. It's not too out there or too like, I don't know. I don't know how to best describe what I don't like about the fusion stuff, but I don't like prog, I guess, is this part of it. Like when it gets just too virtuosic, maybe it just starts to really annoy me, and this didn't go there. And I can just imagine also, like, I think playing this in the house would just be fun. So even if it's not my personal favorite, I will still be looking for it if I can get it affordably. And then this one I'm still on the fence on. Another iconic cover here, Kakashi by Yasuaki Shimizu. Some of these tracks are awesome. Some of these tracks are weird. I don't know what you would call this. Like, it's not really fusion because I don't really think it's like proggy or funky, and it's not quite jazz, but it does have jazz elements. So it's a pretty hard to characterize record. If you've never listened to this, definitely give it a listen. And don't just listen to like the first track and skip, because like every track is really distinct on this record. And it just veers into all these different places. It gets super weird, it gets super groovy, back to weird, kind of noisy, just strange. Um, really expensive. I'm definitely not going to be reaching for this one. I'd probably be, I'm more likely to grab this one from him, Music for Commercials, if I find it. It's, first of all, much cheaper, and also it's more like in my wheelhouse of being like a gentler ambient, like, yeah, it's not too wild or funky. And I think these are literally like a collection of jingles and things that he made based on my cursory research of this. So yeah, all pieces were made to measure for commercial films. So kind of interesting. One that if I find it, I'll probably grab it. Yeah, and that's where I'm at for now. I wish I had some more. I guess we kind of skipped. I skipped this one because it was like such a small number here. But yeah, electronic music. So this has been the hardest one to track down stuff, because I've just haven't found much that actually was pressed in Japan. So Susumu Yokota, who I really like, all of his records were pressed either in the UK or Germany. I never see them here in the US. So perhaps him being a Japanese artist in origin, does that mean I'll have a better chance of finding his stuff in Japan? That would be cool. I wouldn't be opposed to coming across those over there and grabbing them, though they probably will, for the most part, be, well, no, most of his stuff is like, the most expensive ones I don't think are even more than like 150. And then I mentioned before this artist MK2. Um, these seem to vary in price a lot. These are just kind of like, lo-fi chill beat style electronic music. So you can see here like the low, median, high, like the spread is crazy. The ones that are listed are both over $100. I would be looking to get these in like the $30 range, just like nice to haves. And that's it. Everything else that I found on the electronic side, like, first of all, I haven't really enjoyed excuse me, enjoyed that much. And secondly, it all just seems to be on CD. So, that's okay though. I've got plenty to look for on the jazz side, and I'd rather be more targeted and not like digging through every single bin or feeling like I have to go to every single store to try to track all this stuff down. So I feel like just between the jazz and the ambient, there's going to be plenty for me to look for. Plus, I always have the classic rock stuff to fall back on. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this right now. If you have any suggestions, again, based on what I've shared on any artists, labels, things I should be looking for, any advice on actually shopping for records or what I should expect as far as prices, we'll be very happy to take those comments below if you care to leave one. And yeah, let's leave it there. I'll hope to be back soon with a collection update. NYC Vinyl Con, I went to that last weekend, and if everything goes right, then tomorrow morning I should be in someone's basement, hopefully looking at a cool jazz collection. Could be a bust, could be a treasure trove. No idea what to expect. But when someone says, oh yeah, my neighbor is like in his 80s and he's got like all these records in his basement and he's like trying to start to sell them, it's like, okay, well, let me get over there as soon as possible. I'm going to go check it out. So who knows, that I'll definitely do a full report on that with the collection update and Vinyl Con later this week. So that's it for this one. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll be back again soon. Later.